Hi guys, Alicia right here. If you're new to my channel, then welcome, and if you've been rocking with me for a while, then what's up? So today's video was a requested video. A girl was asking me like, what type of makeup do I recommend for people that are just beginning in makeup? So this is what this video is today. So when you are beginning in makeup, it's important to ask yourself, why are you starting to get into makeup? Is it because it's a trend, or is it because you actually have things you want to cover, conceal? Do you want to get into makeup so you could go out? Is it for a function? Like, you need to ask yourself, why are you getting into makeup, so you kind of have a sense of what type of makeup or what type of coverage. So for example, for me, the reason why I got into makeup is to cover my hyperpigmentation, my dark circles, and my eczema scars. I opt for full coverage makeup. So I always look at labels and make sure it says full coverage, medium to full coverage, terms like that. So you need to kind of know what your reasoning is first, so you can kind of find the right makeup for you. So that's the first reason you need to think about. You also need to know your skin type. It's very important to know whether you're dry, oily, or combination, because that helps you figure out what makeup to buy. So I am a dry skin girl, so I tend to go for more cream and liquid products, because those are more hydrating. If you're more oily, you tend to go for more powder or matte products. So matte is something that you use when you're oily to combat your oils. So you need to make sure you know what type of skin you have before you even start into makeup, because if you're oily and you go for a liquid foundation that does not help your oils, your makeup is just going to simply melt off and slip off, and it'll be a hot mess. So it's important for you to know your skin way before you put makeup on. And since this is a beginner's video, I recommend that when you are starting off in makeup, that you stick to drugstore or low-end products, so you can figure out what you like, cream, powder, liquid, what type of finishes you like, dewy or matte. Like, there's a lot of things to learn when it comes to makeup. So I recommend sticking to drugstore and low-end ranges. So you can start with NYX, E.L.F, Milani. There's a lot of other brands out there, Maybelline. That being said, I do have drugstore tutorials here on my channel. I have one brand tutorials also here on my channel. I have one brand NYX tutorial, E.L.F tutorial, and Milani tutorial. So go ahead and check those out. They will also be in the description bar. This video is to help beginners, so I'm gonna have a whole bunch of tips and tricks for you guys, so make sure you check the description bar for all my previous videos regarding the topics I'm mentioning today. Okay, and also, before even putting makeup on your face, you have to have the right tools, and what I mean by that is having the right brushes and sponges. Again, I recommend you starting on the low end, but I have to say though, there are some low end brushes and sponges that are actually better than high-end. So don't like take offense to me saying, oh, start low. The three brands that I recommend is Real Technique brushes. I have a couple brushes, but this is one right here. This is their setting brush. Real Technique sponges are also really good too, so you don't have to go straight to a beauty blender. I also recommend E.L.F brushes, and Wet n Wild brushes are awesome. So if you guys want a video on just on brushes for beginners, then thumbs up this video or leave a comment below. I want to see how many people are actually interested in that topic. Okay, so the first step of applying makeup after moisturizing your face and taking care of your face first is primers. Primers are essential because they are what helps stick your whatever makeup you put on to stay on. So I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I'll tag that up there. Reason for a primer is like before you put on a paint on your walls, you know how they have primer sometimes in the paint, or you have to put a primer first. It's to help whatever you put on top of it to stick. And so you want to have your foundation or your concealer to stay on all day, and you also don't want to have your foundation or concealer on your bare skin, because makeup does have chemicals, unless you go for the more natural makeup brands, but makeup does have chemicals, and so you don't want the makeup directly onto your skin and damaging your actual skin. So the point of primers is to have a barrier between your foundation and your skin. The two primers that I recommend for starting out is NYX Angel Veil Skin Perfecting Primer. I mentioned this a lot on my channel. I actually use this on a day-to-day basis. And I also recommend the Rimmel London Stay Matte Primer. Again, it's a term that I mentioned before, matte. If you're oily, matte foundations are great. Also, if it's summertime, anything matte is perfect for you. So after you put on your primer, I tend to do my eyebrows before or after. It really doesn't matter. I recommend using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is what I use actually every day. This is in the color Espresso. This is very affordable. It's comparable to Anastasia Brow Wiz. You could also use a Jordana Fabu Brow Eyebrow Pencil. Looks like that if you prefer pencils. And lastly, I use the E.L.F. brow pencil in the color Neutral Brown. This goes back to asking yourself, why are you wearing makeup? Do you need to conceal anything? Do you have dark marks on your skin? Because if you do, if you are trying to conceal dark marks or anything like that, you have to then color correct. You don't have to, and if you watch my videos, you see that I don't color correct all the time. I sometimes skip that step. But if you do choose to, there are two great color correctors. There's an E.L.F. one, E.L.F. color correcting stick. This is in the color orange. If you are dark skin like me, orange is perfect for you. If you are a lighter, then you can go for peach, you can go for lavender, green, red. There's different colors, so make sure that you are using the correct color correcting color for your skin tone. That's going to be a whole different video. I'm not going to get into that, so if you want to know what color is best for what color corrector is best for your skin, I recommend you looking that up. Also, the LA Girl Pro Conceal Orange color corrector is also an affordable one. As you see here, this is what I was using in this video. Next is foundation. Again, not everyone needs foundation. So ask yourself, do you want your full face covered? Do you need a full face of foundation? You just need to ask yourself, because you don't need to follow every beauty guru's steps. You don't have to be like, oh, she used foundation, then concealer, I have to do the same thing. You actually don't. So if you feel like you don't have much to cover, you could skip foundation entirely and go straight to concealer. You could use concealer as foundation. So if you feel like you don't need foundation, definitely skip this step. However, if you do need foundation, I recommend starting out with drugstore ones. So in this video, I used the Maybelline Matte Poreless Foundation in the color Mocha. I also have a video on my channel using the Iman Luxury Concealing Foundation. This is also a great foundation as well. And so you could just use a flat top brush. You could use your Real Technique sponge to apply your foundation and make sure it's blended. After your foundation is your concealer. Now this is also another debatable step. You could choose to use concealer underneath your foundation, above your foundation. You could use your concealer above your foundation as a extra coverage. If you don't need extra coverage, you could skip concealer or you could skip foundation, whichever one you're leaning towards. Concealer is mostly used for spot coverage or just like extra coverage if needed. So the concealers that I recommend are the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin Concealer. Looks like this. I also recommend the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. I think this is in the color Medium Deep. And the best concealer you've probably seen all over YouTube, the LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is in the color Toffee. I use Chestnut. I use a lot of different colors. This range is only $2.99 and has a lot of different colors. So I recommend this for your first. I also used to use this concealer as a foundation as well when I just need to go out the door. And it has really good coverage, a beautiful finish. So you could opt to use this if you're beginning. So after applying all of those liquid products, a liquid foundation and liquid concealer, depending on what products you use, you always have to set your face with powder. You always also have to set your concealer with powder. So in the video, I used a higher end brand because that's kind of what I use. However, there are a lot of different affordable brands out there. There's an E.L.F. setting powder, there's an NYC setting powder. I think Maybelline Fit Me collection just came out with a setting powder. So go ahead and look at your drugstore and see what setting powders are out there and try them out. So, but always remember that when you put a cream or liquid product on your face, you always have to set that with powder. If you're a beginner and you're trying to keep things natural and you don't want to apply eyeshadow, you can completely skip the next steps that I'm about to say. However, if you want to get into eyeshadow and want to know how that starts, always make sure you put on an eyeshadow primer. E.L.F. has a good one. NYX has a good one. Just like your face primer, you always have to have an eyeshadow primer on your eyelids before eyeshadow. You see how this is all going hand in hand? It's always primer before anything. So after you put your eyeshadow primer is when you put on your eyeshadows. if you're beginning, you should probably start off with 1 or 2 shadows at first. You don't want to go in with like these beauty gurus and have like 5 different transition shades, an outer V color, smoking it out. Like you don't need to do all that when you're beginning. So I recommend having a nice warm crease color. The one that I'm using in this video is Makeup Geek Cocoa Bear. And then for your lid color, you could choose a matte color. You could use a more neutral color. Gold just tends to look better on my skin tone. So for the eyeshadows I recommend any NYX eyeshadows. Looks like this. They sell them at CVS and Ulta. This is a great, these palettes are really great and affordable to start off with. I also recommend Morphe palettes. This is one of them here. I wouldn't say go crazy and get Anastasia palettes, Too Faced palettes, Kat Von D palettes. Don't go for those yet until you are comfortable with blending and getting used to shadows. Or you could start off with small shadows. Like here, you could build your own Z palette. I have Makeup Geek shadows in here. After that, if you want to apply your eyeliner, again, this is optional. Doing a wing eyeliner still takes me a lot of time. So if you want to keep this as neutral and as simple as you can, skip the eyeliner. But if you want, then I recommend using Maybelline Eye Studio eyeliner. Looks like this. And any angle brush that you could find. It doesn't matter the price point or anything, as long as it's angled, and you can start practicing your eyeliner. Next, after that is mascara. Mascaras differ for everybody. You can use whatever mascara you're comfortable with. I think whenever everyone starts using makeup, they always use mascara first. It's always the most simple makeup to ever use. So use whatever mascara you want. If you're trying to keep your makeup as neutral as possible because you are a beginner, I recommend skipping these next steps. However, I still included them for those that want to learn and want to know, you know, the steps of applying makeup because you are a beginner. So the next couple things that I did was apply a bronzer. I recommend starting off with bronzer if you are beginning because contouring is tricky. You could look real drag queenish real quick if you apply your contour incorrectly. So I opt for a bronzer if you're beginning. So in this clip, I'm using the E.L.F. bronzer in Turks and Caicos is what I'm using in this clip. I also followed up with the CoverGirl Ebony bronzer. And so bronzing your face is essentially just adding back the color to your face. So adding back that color, that dimension to your skin just makes it look glowy and healthy. Next again is blush, totally optional. In this clip I used the E.L.F. blush palettes in color dark. These are gorgeous. This was only $3. This is a beginner's palette and I love it. I use this every day. It's my favorite blush palette ever. And lastly, again, this is completely optional. I'm not telling you guys to use all these products because again, less is more when you're beginning. But if you want to have a little glow, a little highlight, I recommend using the Milani Strobe palette. This is in the color Golden Light. This is super gorgeous. Has a lot of different tones. They do have a lighter one for my lighter skin tone girls. This is the darker one. So those steps is completely optional. If you want to keep your makeup as light and as fresh as possible, I recommend stopping at your foundation, concealer, and powder. You can stop right there and run out the door. Put on some mascara, maybe a little bit of eyeshadow, but you don't even have to put on eyeshadow. You could stop at the powder and call it a day. Now, the last and final step of makeup is your setting spray. You could opt for just putting setting powder and going out the door, but I like double coverage because I don't want my makeup to slip off during the day. So after I put a powder on my face, I then follow up with the setting spray. There's a lot of setting sprays on the market right now. There is a Milani one, there's a NYX one. Alright guys, I hope this helped. Hopefully the video kind of like helped you understand the placement of products, what products I recommend, and just like understanding that when you're beginning a makeup, less is more. Don't think you have to have a full face of makeup when you're beginning. Makeup is going to be a trial and error. Like I mentioned before, keep your receipt. And if you hate things, just return it. If you have any questions, please ask them down below. If you have any specific videos that you want to see, then let me know. Again, if you want to see a video on what makeup brushes I recommend as beginners, then leave a comment down below so I could get that out for you guys. I will be doing a summer foundation routine so your face doesn't melt in the summer heat. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!